Hey guys, Kay here. So this is another highly requested video, which is which path is right for me for getting a career in software development. So I'm going to be discussing 3 different routes of entry: the self-taught route, the coding bootcamp route, and the traditional computer science degree. So quick disclaimer, I personally did do a coding bootcamp. I did the Makers Academy bootcamp, which was really good. I've done a video review on that, so do check that out. But I'm going to be not biased towards coding bootcamp or any specific route. I've got nothing to gain from this. I just want this to be as informative as possible for you guys watching. So that being said, I'm going to be comparing the 3 different routes of entry on 5 key metrics, which include cost, curriculum, difficulty, career opportunities, and qualifications. So that being said, let's get started. Quick intermission, guys. So I have noticed a lot of you watching these videos are actually not subscribed to the channel, so it would really help me out if you hit that subscribe button now for future content related to getting into the tech industry, and hit that like button to help me out and beat that YouTube algorithm. Thanks guys. So carrying on. So the first area I want to go through is qualifications. Now, I am not a stranger to university/college. As you can see, I have one of these, and then another one of these, and another one of these. So if one of these is really important to you, then the traditional computer science degree wins hands down. But, and a very big but, a degree holds diminishing value every year, as there's a great number of graduates graduating from university, and in addition to that, employers are starting to see that marketable skills are far more important than a physical certification, and the best way to demonstrate marketable skills is to have a good looking portfolio. And obviously when it comes to the application process, they're opting for more skills-based assessments, so doing technical tests, and that is only going to be really something that you can excel at if you've actually spent time developing those skills. And you can develop those skills either on a computer science degree, bootcamp, or the self-taught route. It depends on the work that you put into it. So qualification wise, you would get a physical degree at the end of a computer science degree. You won't get anything like that from the coding bootcamp or the self-taught route. So if that is what you're looking for, then that will be the best route. But do bear in mind that a physical qualification nowadays holds less and less weight. So always still don't view the degree as your route to a job, because that's just not applicable nowadays. You do need a good looking portfolio, and you can build that regardless of which route you go for. It's all about what you put into it. The next area I want to address is curriculum. So I'll start with the computer science degree. Now I personally know quite a lot of people who have done computer science degrees, and from what I've got gathered as a general consensus, the content that is taught generally tends to be quite static. It normally isn't updated across quite a lot of years, even though technology, as we know, is constantly evolving and updating every year. And in addition to that, a lot of the content that you cover, the stuff that you're learning, a lot of it is nice to know stuff. It's not necessarily essential stuff that you need to become a software developer. So someone I know, they told me that during their computer science degree, they graduated quite recently, they learned how to build a compiler, which is a nice to know thing, but it's something that you're never ever going to do as a software developer. It's just not necessary. So things that you should be looking out for are common workflows and methodologies, so working in Agile, understanding CI/CD, basic source control, and obviously the basic fundamentals of programming. Now, in terms of programming and coding itself, you do have, actually, from what I've gathered, quite limited number of taught hours. A lot of it is stuff that you're going to be doing in your own time, essentially self-teaching yourself. So that is something to bear in mind. Now, curriculum-wise, a bootcamp, because it is a lot shorter than a degree, it usually spans between, anywhere between 12 to say 20 weeks. And during that time, what you're covering is, you're not covering a lot of the nice to know things. You're actually, I would say, very stressful time covering the essentials. And it is very hard to even just cover that during the very limited amount of time you have. Normally, you're going to have to go back and recap what you've done after you finish the bootcamp, and that was the case that I had as well. I had to go back and recap certain core concepts. So that being said, a bootcamp will equip you with the necessary things, the essential things that you need to know in order to become a software developer, such as those things that I discussed earlier. And the self-taught route now. This is very difficult because the curriculum really is what you decide it to be. So I would say that in terms of curriculum, if you follow, say, a guided path on, say, free Codecamp, then that is a good place to start. But in order for knowing the essentials to become a software developer, you do need some kind of mentoring or guidance. So if you do have that mentoring or guidance, and in addition to learning, follow sort of a path on free Codecamp or some kind of course, you learn things like paired programming, agile workflow, the essentials that you need to become a software developer, then the self-taught route can also be quite good in terms of curriculum. But you do need to supplement an online course with some sort of one-to-one or group mentoring as well. Cost, now, hands down, self-taught route wins because you're not really paying anything. Even if you do pay for some kind of online course, chances are it's going to be far less than a coding bootcamp, and definitely less than a computer science degree. So self-taught route, if it's cost that you're concerned with, then that's the route to go. Second place would be the coding bootcamp. Normally the cost of a coding bootcamp on average will be about equivalent to 1 year's worth of university/college tuition. And obviously a degree in the UK, you're looking at about just slightly over £9,000 a year, so around about coming up to £30,000 for the duration of a 3-year degree. In the US, that's going to be considerably more, so obviously an actual degree would rank in last place there. Career opportunities, now, this I would say would be the bread and butter of coding bootcamps. And self-taught, you aren't really going to get any career opportunities, so I'm just going to put that last place straight away. Between coding bootcamps and universities, now, I've spoken to a lot of computer science graduates, and having gone through university myself, normally the main sources of career opportunities you get are from internships and from careers fairs. Now, internships, usually there's a limited time to apply for them. They take a limited number of candidates, so it can be difficult landing one. There is quite a lot of competition. And in terms of careers fairs, those are more introductions. A lot of what you see in careers fairs is going to be available on our website anyway, and normally there isn't really any sort of advantage going to a careers fair in person as opposed to just not going and applying directly online. Sometimes you might get like a referral from the HR person. They might pick up your application and they'll know who you are because they spoke to you, but really I wouldn't rely on that. A coding bootcamp, now, a lot of coding bootcamps, they are incentivized to help you find a job. So the bootcamp that I did, they would refund you your full £8,000 if you did not find a job in 6 months. Now, I think in comparison to universities, I don't know of any universities that say they'll refund you your 30 grand tuition fees if you don't find a job. It's just not how it works. So there is more of an incentive for them to help you, and I felt, compared to when I graduated from university, I felt that there was a lot more support from the coding bootcamp. So every month there'd be careers fairs where they help you apply to these employers. They will have spots reserved specifically for graduates from the bootcamp, which is quite nice. There's a careers team which constantly helps you with interview practice. They'll help you with technical tests, or they have a separate company that they contract that helps you prepare technically. And even after you've got a job, there's still a lot of coaching available. They just continue to help you. There is that kind of link to the bootcamp constantly. So I found that really, really helpful. So in terms of careers opportunities, from my cohort, about 6 months, pretty much all of us had software development jobs. Compared that to university, a lot of people who actually don't even get jobs in the area that they studied in. And that is important to know about degrees is a lot of people, not just computer science specific, but a lot of people will use that degree as a sort of checkbox to apply to a graduate scheme which might not necessarily be related to what they studied. And that is an advantage that you get with degrees, is just having a physical degree, which kind of opens up more paths in terms of graduate schemes, which you wouldn't get if you're self-teaching or going for a coding bootcamp. So I am obviously addressing the specific software development, so if it's specific software development, then the bootcamp wins hands down. Followed by the computer science degree and then the self-taught route, since you're not really getting any support there. So overall difficulty, now I would say self-taught is by far the most difficult, partly because when you're self-teaching, you can end up in a loop where you're constantly learning languages and frameworks and you're not really progressing. You do need that mentorship and guidance from an experienced developer. If you can get that, then that does reduce the difficulty, but obviously not having that exposure to pair programming, working in agile teams day to day, having constant mentorship, the self-taught route is very difficult. But I do know a few self-taught developers who got jobs in consultancies and then moved on to other companies as software developers. So it is possible, it is just a lot more difficult. In comparison, I would say in a coding bootcamp, just because of how limited you are on time, and it is literally 7 days a week. You have your full days Monday to Friday, and then there's weekend tasks. So, and it is quite difficult to learn all of the coding from scratch to get your first software developer job in as little as 16 weeks. So I would say because of time, it is the second most in terms of difficulty, and computer science I would rank as number one here in terms of being the least difficult, just because you have a lot more time. And university students, if you've gone through university, they tend to have really long holidays, so you have all that time to kind of self-teach yourself, apply for internships. It is generally 3 to 4 years, so obviously you have more time to kind of focus on the programming aspect of it. Obviously computer science degrees, you learn other stuff outside of programming, but specifically for coding and applying for software development jobs, you won't have as much pressure on you. So that is an aspect that if you want to take your time, then a computer science degree is definitely probably the way to go for you. So to summarize, if going into a career in software development is your end goal, then I would say the coding bootcamp path is probably the best one to take. And depending on if you have that mentorship and support and guidance, then the self-taught route I would say is probably slightly above computer science degree. If you're a fresh 18-year-old and all your friends are going to university and you're not too keen on self-teaching and you don't really have very many connections in terms of someone who can kind of mentor and guide you, then maybe a computer science degree is your end goal. And especially if you're not 100% sure that you do want to be a software developer, then just having that degree it can help open up other areas for you. But I would say my first place will be the coding bootcamp route if you want to be a software developer, then self-taught, and then just slightly below that would be the computer science degree route. That's factoring all of the things such as time, cost, what you're learning, etc., and career opportunities, obviously. Now, as I stated before, these aren't my personal opinions entirely. This is through speaking to a lot of people who have gone through the computer science degree route, what their thoughts were, having done it, having worked with people who didn't do computer science degrees, did coding bootcamps or self-taught, and obviously speak to other self-taught people, and myself having gone through the coding bootcamp route. This is kind of the general consensus that people have found. I wouldn't say computer science degrees are garbage, or doing a coding bootcamp is a godly way of getting into a software development route. They are quite close when it comes to how useful they are. There are just small variances in terms of things like cost and career opportunities, or difficulty, and it depends on what it is that you value. If you have a load of time and you're a fresh 18-year-old and you're not in a rush and you might not want to do software development later on, then a degree probably does make sense, and that's perfectly fine as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please do like and subscribe. I have noticed a lot of people who do watch these videos and they are not subscribed yet, so please do subscribe to help me out. Hit that like button, and as always, I will see you in the next video. See ya.